for me to push it with the camera there on that angle. Go ahead and just tap it smartly with the back of my hammer. There we have it installed. It's going to be followed by our center support snap ring. And one of the openings is going to fall right here where the anti-clunk spring goes. See how it is on top of the anti-clunk springs? You don't want that. Rotate your snap ring a little bit. There it went. It fell inside the groove. And you don't want the other tip of this snap ring on top of the anti-clunk spring. The reason why is that when you're coasting down, coming to a stop, that's what this does. It's like a cushion for the center support. And with a movement here, it'll pop off your snap ring off of the snap ring groove, and you will probably lose reverse. And you will probably have like a bind up as well in manual low. Now we drop our sun gear. We get our new center support washer from the sun shell. It came in with the sun shell. Our original washer, there's nothing wrong with it, but let's go ahead and put what's already came with it. Now this washer here, 4-tab washer, goes on the sun shell. And this is a new heat treated or hardened sun shell. Forward planet ring gear. Forward planet. Now this is going to be a little tricky here. I need to put the output shaft, install it. And install this snap ring on the output shaft. I think I'm going to have to pause it here. I'm going to try it to see if I can. If I'm not going to be successful with this, I'm going to pause it. Okay, on the planet itself, takes a bearing. Don't forget that. I almost did. I almost forgot. Now let's try this. If I'm not successful here, I'm going to have to pause it, all right? Just hang in there. Latch one end. I'm actually using my finger to kind of hold the snap ring. There we go. We have success. Forward planet sun gear. Now, my input drum with my reverse input. You want to wiggle the third gear clutches. They should engage. There we go. They should engage on the forward planetary ring gear. You should have this end play here. Your input drum should be free. The reason for that, the reverse input drum sits on top of the sun shell, and this falls into the forward planetary gear. Now let's go ahead and install this band. Now, to me, it's very easy. I don't know why a lot of people put the band first and then have a lot of trouble getting it in. But this is what I do. I hit my input shaft towards the 1 o'clock position. Get this end in here. I don't bend the tabs. Get my screwdriver. Get the other end. And latch it on the band anchor. That's going to be on your 6 o'clock position. There we go. As easy as that. Now let's go ahead and lubricate the case here. Our pump is next, guys. I hope that you're enjoying this as much as I am. And now we can get, I'm not going to move the camera from there. I'm going to remove the hose clamp from my sealing rings. Lubricate my sealing rings. Remember the hose clamp? Alright, now we're going to put the pump gasket. And here comes the pump. I usually use one screwdriver just to align it with one of the holes. There we go. Now we just tap it slightly. Now we put our pump bolts, and everything is already assembled inside of the barrel of the case. So then you put your O-rings on your pump bolts. See how it's got an O-ring? You put them all on there. Put your pump bolts on. And torque it to 18 foot-pounds. It's a little bit hard to get to since this is not a detachable bell housing. 18 foot-pounds. There we go. I have it at 18 and a half, but 18 foot-pounds. And our turbine shaft seal. We put a new turbine shaft seal, and I think we're not on there. Here we go. And lube it up. Alright, well, let's move to the valve body. Now before we go working on our valve body, let's assemble our servo parts for now. This is our second applied piston for the band, or our second applied servo. This is the separator, what separates the two. This is a 553 servo, which is the most common one. And then the smaller diameter of the 553, it's the Corvette servo, or what you see sometimes on the Z71s and the Camaros. This is a spacer that came on a shift kit, Transgo shift kit. It's just a shim or a band adjuster shim. This is our servo cover, and this is our fourth applied piston. So the fourth applied piston goes in here. But first, let's go ahead and change this spring. It comes on the kit. Now, this spring gets fatigued, and if it gets fatigued, when it gets hot, it starts dragging in the band. It will not pull the servo pin all the way outwards, and it will drag on the band, and it will cause a premature failure of the band. In this transmission, we didn't see that. As I show you the band, it looked brand new. And although it had 8 years in service, so first thing we want to do, we want to put that updated return spring here, or the pin return spring. Now we're going to lube up the grooves here for our sealing rings. And we got leftover just the servo sealing rings, so we're going to have a few leftover. This is for the Corvette servo or the C71s or the Camaros. See the smaller diameter? That would be the smaller diameter here. And then we have one for the late models. No, this is the one for this one. On the late models, they have one in between because sometimes the 553 will be a little bit too firm. On the late model units, the ones that have the adaptive learning. Okay, so we put that on here, and then the next one will be the largest one of all for the second apply piston. So these are the two sealing rings for the second apply piston, and if you notice here, I only put assembly lube where the two ends meet. Okay, now let's go ahead and open up this bag. The blue one is for the end cover, and the green one is for the one that goes in between the second and the fourth. Now on some kits it's red, on this one it's green. So on the kits that is red, the red goes here, and the blue always goes on the end cover. Alright, so this is our fourth apply piston. I just put assembly lube just on where the two ends are going to meet. There we have it. Now we go ahead and put it inside of the servo cover, and if you notice, it is directional. See how this end is larger than that end? This one goes inside of the servo cover. That's why you have that recess there. If you put it backwards, the pin is going to be too close to the band, and you're going to cause premature failure on that band. In other words, it's going to burn. So this is the correct way to assemble this. And this goes in between both. This came on a shift kit. I'm not going to go through that on this video. I mean, I'll probably do one later on that. But I have two videos on the early model valve body, which is this one, and on a late model valve body for the 1870 trouble code. And there goes the end cover. I'm going to use some blue assembly lube for these O-rings here. Be liberal. Don't put very little on it. Just put as much as you want. You want to protect them. You don't want to be stingy. There we go. Assembly lube, not chassis grease or any other type of grease. Not grease. Assembly lube. Assembly lube, you know, for transmissions, or you can use STP as well. All right, so let's put this in the case. And the way I have it over there, and the camera angle is going to be a little difficult, but what the heck, let's go ahead and put it on. Okay, so here we go. I already pre-lubed the bore, and I put some green assembly lube here just to hold my return spring. I already got my snap ring here ready. And here we go. We're just going to push this thing in. Hold it with your fingers. There we go. So that's how you put the servo back in here. When it's on the vehicle, you put the second piston first, then the intermediate piece, and then your end cover with the piston on, because you have very little room. But when it's outside the vehicle, it's very easy. You just put the whole thing in. So there we have it. Okay, so now here we have our valve body, and we're going to move fairly quickly here. I do have two videos on the same valve body. One is an early model, one's a late model. And here we have our two shift solenoids. I have already taken them out and cleaned them up. And what I want to show you here is the O-rings. The O-rings are flat. They're not O-rings no more. If you see that, how it looks, it's flat. And they've been there for a few years now.
فراموش نکنید که توی کانال سابسکرایب کنید، زنگوله رو به صدا در بیارید و کانال رو با دیگر دوستانتون به اشتراک بذارید. تا ویدیوی بعدی، روزگار خوش.